Lyra! 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 Hello and welcome to this week's Game and Read discussion video. I am Peter, this is Erin, and we've got something to talk about today.
Our theme this episode is Crossing Realities. Our book that Peter read is The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. It's the first in his Dark Materials trilogy. And I played Zelda, A Link Between Worlds for the 3DS.
So for this video, I read The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. As Erin said, the first in a series of 3, his Dark Materials books. And the general premise is it's an alternate reality of the world we all know, primarily taking place in Europe. And in this world, every human being has this attached spirit, soul-like animal creature called a demon, and it can take form of any animal in it.
Until it's
Until
ready.
you hit puberty, and then it picks one form, but it can be any animal.
Right. It picks the form that is most fitting to the person.
Yeah, it's like part of your personality.
Soul. Yeah.
So that's a big crazy thing.
And everyone has one.
Yes, every human has one. Every human. And there are also some other crazy things going on. There is this mysterious other world that can be seen through the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. And there's this particle called dust going around that's being researched heavily by all the academics, which there are a lot of in this book, as well as it's under investigation by the Christian church of this universe. Yeah, the Magisterium is their central
religious
group.
center.
And the main character of this book is Lyra Belacqua, however you want to pronounce it.
Lyra.
Yes, and she was raised in the College of Jordan in Oxford. So she was raised among these, old, dude academic guys. And
she doesn't know who her mom is.
Yeah, she doesn't know who her parents are, and she's just kind of lived this weird life until, suddenly, things go awry, and she ends up going on this big adventure to basically investigate the Northern Lights, as well as pursue this group called the Gobblers, who have been kidnapping children with malicious intent. It's unclear through the book what exactly they're doing. It gets revealed later on. Not going to say because it's a big deal. But they're not being too nice to these kids in the pursuit of scientific research, especially around dust, the particle from before. And she also has this thing called the alethiometer,
alethiometer, I think is...
When I looked at it, it looked like it said a lie thermometer, and I was like, okay,
which is so funny because...
It is a device that tells the truth. You put these complex inputs into it, and then it sends outputs back to you, and you have to interpret them, but it tells you a truth about something in the world after you ask it a question. And Lyra has one of those. And
uses it on her adventure journey
She uses it a lot.
She relies on it.
So that's the general premise of the book. And overall, I did really like it. I think it's a really good YA novel. I'm not surprised. It comes with a lot of praise from different friends of mine, including Erin.
I love it so much. Actually, it's my least favorite of the 3 in his Dark Materials, which is the trilogy, but it's still so good. It's just so good. It was exciting to find a game to pair with it.
It was a really enjoyable read. I really liked the universe because it's Europe, but then there are different names and different, social structures and societies and things like that. But it didn't feel super foreign because they'd be like, oh, he's from this part, and they're referencing the Americas, but the Americas are like New Holland and other places instead of just being America, and it's pretty easy to pick up on that. And I actually really thought it was an interesting take on kind of world building, especially since we did, Aragon so recently, which built a different world.
Totally different world.
Yeah, but they're both building worlds, and I definitely got more into this one than I did the Aragon world. Alagacia.
I think that the parallels to our our actual world helps
Definitely.
engage us in Pullman's world.
It was just different enough. And I think I also really enjoyed the cast of supporting characters. Lyra is a great character in herself. She's this, plucky and tough, but, definitely has limits to her own abilities, preteen. But she's, very talented and precocious, but likable.
Yeah.
Definitely. She's not perfect, but she, is on, the side of the quote-unquote angels or whatever.
She's a really, genuine, authentic character. She's got the flaws. She has the personality.
She's definitely strong-headed, but, she's trying to do the right thing. Especially in the face of several antagonists who are trying to do what seems kind of like the wrong thing. It's a little confusing here and there. But I really like the universe, the characters. There are a bunch of side characters. There's armored bears, including the main one named Yorick Bjornensen. There's a Texan who also flies balloons. There are witches. There are these gypsy type people that she takes up arms with, in a sense. And it's really just a very interesting group of people put into this book, and it was really nice to have that. My only real complaint about this, and why I gave it, a 4-star instead of 5, was that I know it's a trilogy, and I knew that when I started this book. However, I felt like it lacked a solid enough conclusion for the book itself. And since I can't review the whole series right now, because I've only read one of them, I found that disappointing. And I'm sure I'll feel differently once, I'd like to read the second and third book. However, it very much ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm just like, no, come on, just give me a slightly different amount of information here, and I will be very satisfied right now.
It is on a literal cliffhanger.
But I did enjoy it. It's just, there were 2 points earlier in the book. I'm like, if they stopped it right there, that's a solid book, and I still want to read more. But it's very much just like, nope, and the story continues. So that's my one complaint about it. Still would recommend it, especially if you want to get in with the whole series. It seems like the next 2 will be quite good, and Erin would probably recommend them.
Oh yeah. So I played Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds on my 2DS. It was a game for the 3DS, whatever. I have a 2DS. And so the premise is that you are Link, as in every Zelda game.
Oh, it's always different. It's mostly different Links.
Whatever.
You're just a hero named Link.
You're a hero named Link, and Zelda and the 7 sages of Hyrule have been captured in paintings by this really creepy evil dude Yuga, and you are on the quest to go save the 7 sages and Zelda and restore Hyrule in life and all of these things. And to do that, you are given the power of transforming into a painting, which means you can walk in walls, which is really cool. And you enter this other alternate flip reality of Hyrule called Low Rule through so creative.
And the worst pun ever.
Through cracks in the world. So you might see a mountain face and there's a crack in it, and you go through that and you're in the other reality. So you have to traverse these 2 different realities as you find the dungeons where the sages are, and you go through them. And this is my first Zelda game. I've never played a Zelda game before, but I infer that they're puzzly.
Yeah.
And I definitely got the puzzle feeling from this game. And that was something I really liked about it, and something I think the transforming into paintings really added this cool, complex, creative layer on top of the other puzzles. So not only did you have to know, okay, I need to use the bombs to get that thing so I can get there, but you also had to go, well, what if I merged onto the wall, went around the room, hopped on this platform, all these different things to get what you needed and go where you needed. So it was a really enjoyable game. I beat it. Yes. I just finished it, even though I killed the boss, attempted to kill the final boss 12 times. It was so frustrating, but I did it, and I really think it's a great game. I enjoyed playing it. I wanted to keep playing it. I liked it being on the 2DS because I could sit in the couch and play it. Some things I really loved, like I said, the puzzle aspect was really neat. It was a really easy game to understand, but not easy to execute. So I understood what I needed to do or what my objective was in a particular place, but it was hard to figure out how to follow through, which was good. I like knowing what I have to do, and it was easier to figure out then how to get there. One critique I have is that the different dungeons require different items, and in the early stages of the game, you can only rent those items from the item seller guy, and when you die, all your items get recalled to his house.
And you have to go rent them again.
I got so mad when I would die in a dungeon and I knew I had to waste 5 minutes going back to the stupid house, renting these items again, getting back to the dungeon again. It was really annoying. Thankfully, you get to buy the items later on. So by the end of the game, I had all the items and didn't have to, I could die as many times as I wanted and didn't have to go back to the house. So that was nice. All in all, a really fun game, a really cute game. I liked the style of it. I liked the premise of it. I liked the story. Glad I finally played a Zelda game.
Yeah.
And played it to completion. That's really exciting for me. And so I would give Zelda Link Between Worlds 4 out of 5 video game controllers.
4 out of 5 Master Swords.
Ooh, that's even better.
Yes.
4 out of 5 Master Swords.
My question for you for this is, does this make you think that you'd want to try another Zelda game?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Not on the Wii.
That's fair enough.
But
I was just curious because the thing about this game is that it is fairly different from a lot of other Zelda games, especially, well, the item thing is what made it very distinct among Zelda games. Normally, you find the item in a dungeon, and then that dungeon has puzzles specific to that item normally.
Which, see, in the dungeons had puzzles specific to items, but you had to go rent or buy the items.
You didn't have to find the item in the dungeon.
To find it. That's interesting. Yeah, I would definitely be interested in playing another Zelda game. It was fun. Like I said, the controls were easy to master. It was cute, and it wasn't too long, which was nice.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious, just because there's a lot of Zelda games, and
there are a lot of Zelda
they have different themes that might tie up with things later on. Yeah. We overall thought it was a pretty okay pairing.
I want to offer the caveat that the other 2 books in his Dark Materials trilogy, that's the Subtle Knife and the Amber Spyglass, they deal with this moving back and forth between realities much more directly than the Golden Compass does.
The Golden Compass takes place entirely in the one universe, and only at the end does, stuff happen where you're shifting into another reality. So on that level, we thought it didn't quite hit the mark that we were going for. And that came down to me not knowing the book very well, Erin having the context of having read the whole series rather than just the first book. And so we still think it fits fairly well on a few other points, but on the traveling back and forth realities, it was kind of wishy-washy.
One of the points that we did think that fit really well together about both the book and the game are that the heroes are both young figures who didn't necessarily expect to get into the adventure and the quest and the responsibility that they get into.
Yes.
In Zelda, Link I don't think Link expects to get the Master Sword and fight dungeons and save the day. And in
those dungeons.
And in the Golden Compass, Lyra is this 12-year-old, and she, I don't think, expects to get in as deep as she has to.
Yep.
in the story. So but that was a really nice element that I think both of these protagonists had that human quality of, we didn't ask for this, we didn't really want this.
Well, they were destined for it. That is actually something literal from each story. Link is always the hero of destiny, the hero of time, the hero of whatever. He is the chosen one, effectively, and several times throughout the book, there are references to this prophecy that the witches of the universe have around Lyra specifically, that she has a task to fulfill that will change the universe, hopefully for the better. And so they definitely both fit into that, like, youngish people, children dealing with these very intense destinies kind of just being thrown on them. And on that level, it actually fits more so than the changing realities. Although I will say one thing about changing realities, reading this alternate universe of the world itself is kind of like going through a portal. The magic of reading.
Another point about both of these that we thought worked really well together was the idea that there are main objectives for both Lyra and Link, and yet there are opportunities for side quests.
Rich subplots.
So in Link, you have these side quests you can do, these little games, these other things that are going on in the world.
Saving these little squid things.
You don't have to do it, but there's benefits to doing it.
Yeah, it's part of the game.
In the Golden Compass, there are these really rich subplots going on that I think add this really nice depth to the book. And on that piece, I think both of these mediums really fit together well in the richness and the depth of the stories of the game and the book.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I would definitely agree to that. It's kind of, people sometimes can draw the line that video game, side quests don't make a ton of sense. If you're trying to save the day, why would you run errands for this random person? However, if you read a lot of books, there are plenty of books that have very, circuitous subplots, and you're just like, I'm not sure why that happened, but I'm not upset about it. And, I think it definitely adds to the fact that that aspect of video games is a bit more literary than it seems sometimes.
Oh, definitely. I agree.
Yes. So overall, we thought it was a pretty good pairing, just not for the reason we initially intended.
Though the one big thing that is very different between these two is that Link uses a sword and a hammer and a fire rod and a sand rod and bombs to succeed in his quest. And Lyra uses her wit and her personality and her deceit. She doesn't
fight a lot of stuff.
It's just two very different modes of getting and completing the quest.
Yeah, there are other people fighting on behalf of her or to protect her. However, Lyra, and she gets into a lot of jams on her own, and the only thing she really relies on is the fact that she is very cunning and can lie her way out of problems.
And she has a smart demon.
Oh yeah, but her demon's an extension of her, so that's why it's smart.
Anyway, so that's just a little interesting difference between these two, is the way at which the heroes go about their quests are very different in their methods.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for watching. You can find all of our videos and content at gameandread.com. And you can find us on Twitter. My handle is @nerdintheworld.
And I am @emerch. Look for our afterwards video for this episode on Friday, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.